Okay, recording this video on Sunday, 24th of January 2016. It's just coming up to 5:49 p.m. Chicago time. Because of the time change here in Sydney, Australia, it's actually Monday morning. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. If you're on the east coast of the US in New York or DC, I hope you're enjoying the snow. Hope it's not too painful for you. And I'm just recovering here from spilling about a half cup of coffee on my keyboard. Dumb. I think I need to add a new rule of thumb to my list, which is keep your cup of coffee at least 1.5 feet away from your keyboard. Anyway, I think it's all good. Hopefully I won't have problems kind of getting between charts and recording this video. So there's a few things I'm going to talk about on this video. What happened on Thursday, Friday, where are we kind of going next, most likely. It's always fun to speculate. And then want to talk about a nice little setup for Friday's trade. It was one of those rules of thumb about exhaustion buying during the full liquidity of the day. We keep on seeing that time and time again. And then going to rip through some of the multi-market charts because we've got some interesting stuff kind of happening. Early days, but it's getting kind of interesting. So first of all, where are we? Just going to show you the daily charts on the indices. And here what we've done on a bunch of these is we've come through support. As I said, we're going to overshoot support, but we got a nice bunch of blue professional bars kind of coming in at these lows, at previous lows with exhaustion buying. So we've certainly gone a little further, gone far enough to have a bounce back. So the daily charts are all showing this: blue professional down bars at previous lows, exhaustion sell. So we kind of run out of selling for the time being and going to bounce back a little bit. Here's the S&P 500, that was the NASDAQ, same deal, blue professional bars. It's actually a flush pattern here with a little bullish divergence. And this is the Russell, exhaustion sell, blue professional bars kind of coming in, and that was the Dow. Dow's got a slightly different pattern. We've kind of broken through support here, but you can see bullish divergence, so come in at previous lows. So that's kind of interesting. So I think we're going to have a little bit of a push back. And it's because we're being caught on the weekly chart. So now we just rip through the weekly charts, and you can see we've got this timing of the weekly support kind of coming in. We've got to get confirmation with this week's activity, but that's fairly important. Same deal on the Russell. You can see the fast line is above the slow line here on better sine wave. This is the S&P 500, same deal, and the NASDAQ. So all of that. So there's a good reason why we kind of have a little bit of strength here. But I've been saying the pullback to end of trend patterns need to ripple through all the lowest time frames, and I've been showing you the time frames moving up from the 45-minute chart. So 45-minute chart, a few days ago we got pullback to end of trend, so that's nice. And then it ripples through the next time frame, the 81-minute chart, pullback to, well, we've got to make our end of trend. We've still got to put in that pattern. Now what's interesting on the 135-minute chart, the next time frame up, we've just got a little bit of time to run before that resistance kind of comes in, that pullback resistance, and then we print pullback to end of trend. And then daily charts I've been showing you, we've overshot support on the daily chart, but we're being caught by support on the weekly chart here. So my hypothesis on what's going to go on is we're going to get a little bit of an overshoot on Monday, Tuesday's kind of activity above the pullback level on the 81-minute chart until we get caught by the resistance on the 135-minute chart, the next time frame up, and then we're going to have another push down. So I think we could have a couple of days of strength, Monday, Tuesday. Everybody thinks, the thing's over. We go for a run to the upside, and everybody kind of gets excited that the low's in and piles in. But then we get one of those kind of surprise moves down where the professionals step in again and say, no, we're going to slam it down and see where it holds. And that will be an interesting point. So that's what I think is, the speculation, my kind of hypothesis on what might happen over the next couple of days. So pullback level coming on the 135-minute chart, and then a slam down to see where this thing ends. And the reason I'm kind of guessing that we're going to continue to run to the upside is after Friday's activity, where we got caught kind of mid-morning. We made a nice low, and I'm just going to show you the 13,500 tip bar chart, which is one of the highest time frame tip bar charts that I look at. It's just under the 40,500 tip bar chart, and you can see here this is the blue professional bars during when you look at blue professional bars on higher time frames, they're really important where they come in. For your day trading, the 4500 tip bar chart, the blue professional bars, where they come in there, they're really significant. You've got to really watch out for those. So on Friday's activity, this is what I saw going. We got blue professional bars kind of exhausting into those highs there, getting short on that up move, and then this is almost like a a kind of a U-turn here. So they're getting short, with resting sell orders, and then they slam it down with this blue professional bar. So maybe I would have liked to see a bit more range in that blue professional bar, a little bit more kind of open at the top of the bar and close at the bottom of the bar, but it's still a blue professional bar kind of active there, and then they kind of slam it down. But they decide to pick it up here, at the pullback support level, and we make pullback to end of trend here. Now, for me, what's interesting is Friday's activity. It was kind of slow and junky on the way down. It really wasn't a fast, nice moving trending move into this kind of lows here. It really stair-stepped its way down. It was slow and lacked any kind of conviction, but we got rid of the sellers here at this point. That's kind of exhaustion sell kind of getting the move going, and then another kind of exhaustion pattern here. It holds with a bullish divergence, lack of selling at this point, and then we rock to the upside. So we've not exhausted on this 13,500 tip bar chart with exhaustion pattern at these highs. Although we got a nice pullback to end of trend signal, we don't have an exhaustion buy on a left shoulder. We don't have bearish divergence. We have the reverse. We actually have people have kind of sold this, expecting it to kind of continue down and plumb the lows, and we're not doing that. So market's open at the moment. It's Sunday evening, so it's kind of the overnight session. Not too keen on directionally where it's kind of going there, but I wouldn't be surprised if on Monday, Tuesday we actually kind of go to the upside. You can see it on the multi-time frame view of the world, so a little bit messy here with kind of all the colors and changes of trends, but just look at this. So first of all, this is a 4,500 tip bar chart with the multiple time frames, and you can see all of these end of trends kind of come in here at these highs. So we've got the lowest time frame, the intermediate time frame. It's coming up with resistance on the highest time frame. All of those are saying, price-wise, we've kind of, reached some kind of end of trend, but it doesn't come with bearish divergence. It doesn't come with exhaustion buy. We got the reverse. We got the exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, and flush on the downside. So we could easily that could be the reason why, we've run out of sellers at this point. We kind of crack through 1900 and go for a run until we get exhaustion buying. This exhaustion buying is from the lows on kind of Thursday, getting the move going. And we just exhausted a little bit, came back into those support levels on Friday, and then kind of go to the upside. But we've not exhausted buy. So that's why I'm thinking that this might just continue up through 1900s until we get that exhaustion buy. So that's my theory on what's kind of happening. I'm going to tag on a day trade from Friday's activity because Friday's activity, let me show you the 1500 tip bar chart, which is such an important time frame when you're day trading in 1500. You can see so many things. You've got enough detail here to see what's going on at a almost bar by bar, kind of tip by tip type level, but you've got enough kind of a big picture overview as to what's kind of going on. And here's our old friend exhaustion buy before the open. So this move is not open, over. I mean, we had some. Let me see if I can, just move this fraction this way. We were running out of steam. We had exhaustion buys kind of going on here, one pre the open, and it was looking like it wanted to roll over. And look at this, look at all these Rambo patterns. These are all the amateurs here going short at this point, where it starts to fall out of bed, and they're thinking, ooh, we're going to correct, go into a down move. But no. The exhaustion buy happened before the open. I say the market is not going to roll around until we get exhaustion buy during the full liquidity of the day, during the day session here. That's the open, that's the exhaustion buy. And so those poor amateurs kind of getting short at this point, they get stopped out. They put their stops above the high for the day session up here, a point and a half kind of above that area. As soon as we go through there, that's them being taken out on the other side of that move. And then we put in the exhaustion buy. The exhaustion buy comes in, the blue professional up bars kind of come in at those highs. We put in a nice pullback to end of trend, a bearish divergence, and we roll over. So for a really nice kind of move to the downside. It kind of, it wasn't fast and swift, as I was saying. It was kind of jerky on the way down, but it was definitely kind of correcting on the way down. And multiple time frame view of the world, that's that pattern there. exhaustion buys during the full liquidity of the day, bearish patterns, flush patterns, pull back to end of trend on the intermediate time frame, having pull back to end of trend on the highest time frame here, and then as soon as we're through that support, all that weakness kind of comes in, and it's not over until we see exhaustion sell on the downside down here, and then we kind of can rock to the upside. Again, I don't think I've added this as a rule of thumb, but just watch out for people getting wrong-footed with these patterns, just getting in way too early for a correction move on the downside here when we've not seen proper exhaustion patterns for changes in trend. And as I said, it's not a law, it's not immutable, it's just a rule of thumb. It's kind of helpful. It's kind of, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times out of 10 you'll see this. So it's very handy. And I'll tag on that day trade because nice, good trading on Friday. Got a nice little kind of 4-pointer move into that correction, and I was done for the day. Now, other charts, there are some interesting things happening on the global macro view. We're starting to see these exhaustion patterns go off on some of the commodity markets, and I'm just going to show you those because at this stage they're interesting. They're just interesting. So this is copper. This is using the better pro-am indicators and momentum on this side of the picture. Exactly the same chart, but turning on the system view using multiple time frames. You can see it's all been a downtrend the whole way down for copper. Bang, 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 bang. And we're coming into this $2 level, which is psychologically really important. And we've put in a pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame. We put in a little pullback to end of trend with Thursday, Friday's activity on the lowest time frame here. We've got exhaustion sell and a bullish divergence pattern kind of come in. So that's the kind of thing where that shows a left shoulder. But note that the highest time frame here, the support on the highest time frame, was a long time ago. That formed back in November of 2014, and we still have a pullback to end of trend to put in on that highest time frame. So although this looks like the beginnings of a left shoulder, we've not got any strength. We've got to get some resistance levels kind of busted to the upside and testing and so on. We had a fraction, a little bit of strength here, but that's what we're going to see next. If this catches as a left shoulder, we're going to see a little bit of sign of strength, but this is still got to go on the highest time frame. This pullback to end of trend pattern still has to be put in here on copper. It's really obvious on copper. On crude, again, with all of the activity that we had over the last 2 weeks, all of the, this is the news that's going on again, this huge downtrend we've been in since 110 on crude. Again, back in 2014, this downtrend kind of going in. There's all the exhaustion patterns starting to come in. You can see all the blue professional bars starting to come in at the lows at 28, 29s. Really important levels. Here, the support level on crude is not so far away. We've still got to put in pullback to end of trend patterns because we're busted through supports here, but it's a little bit kind of further away. So this is the beginning. This potentially could be the beginning of the left shoulder being formed on these kind of important commodities. We get a little bit of a bounce kind of from here, but then we're going to test back into those lows. And so the copper and crude kind of patterns, when we see that on this highest time frame, going pullback to end of trend, and that could be the testing activity that I was talking about that could happen during the second quarter of this year, and then from there that would set up into an uptrend in these commodity markets. But anyway, so it's the beginning activity. It's scary at these points because no one's calling for a bottom in crude right now. Everybody's saying it can go further. We've still got the momentum of the downside, but it's at the early stages of forming that left shoulder potentially. So let's wait and see if we get some signs of strength after that. Dollar index looking good for continued break through the 100. I'm still interested in that kind of break to the upside there. So that's still kind of going on. If you look at this on this chart here, that was an interesting bar on Thursday's trade because we closed at the lows of that blue professional bar, but then on Friday's activity, if we go through the highs of this, I was talked about this congestion area from the high to the low of this blue professional bar. We're playing with that. We're potentially busting through the highs of that over 100. So that's what I'm interested in dollar index. So you've heard me go on and on about dollar index. And here's an interesting thing happening in the euro with Thursday's, Friday's activity. Again, that same important, high of the bar. We tested into the highs of that. It's a pullback resistance on the intermediate time frame. Blue professional bar here coming through the lows. So going through the lows of Thursday's bar on the euro, and then continuing through the lows of this particular bar, which is kind of down at 105 on the euro, is kind of interesting. And that's filling out this whole pattern, pullback to end of trend, that we're going with this weakness that we've got kind of going on here in the euro. Now yen, this was all about the carry trade kind of unwind, and that's why we had the strength in the yen kind of going on at the moment. But then with Thursday's and Friday's activity here, bang, all these blue professional bars under this level here, it's within the shadow of this series of blue professional bars, almost from this bar to here. We've been in this big kind of congestion zone. We came up to the highs of that, now we got rejected and going the other ways. So blue professional up bars into here, we continue down. That means potentially we're going to go have a look at the other side here. So the unwind trade kind of is off, if you like. It's kind of risk on. So we could get some strength in some of those risk on markets, and then the yen kind of comes away. So, but remember, we're still in that congestion zone. So let's kind of wait and see where we go within this. But it looks like we got rejected here at 86, and now we're kind of heading back down. Gold and silver, right. Gold and silver said the down move in gold and silver was not over until we saw exhaustion sell on the downside. And now with the pattern that we've had over the last few weeks, we do have exhaustion sell and bullish divergence coming on gold. Down here with a nice pullback to end of trend on this intermediate time period, and we're starting to show a little bit signs of strength. A little bit early on gold, because we've still got to go pull back end of trend on this highest time frame here. So let me just show you this on this. So this time frame we're still below support. So we've got pulled back to end of trend there, but it's got the beginnings of an interesting little kind of break to the upside on gold. So I don't think it's all done on the downside, but that little strength that's starting to come in is interesting. So that's what I'm looking at on that. Silver, same deal. We've not printed strength yet, but finally we got that exhaustion sell on silver. Bullish divergence kind of comes in. We've got support levels down here. We've still got to make pullback to end of trend on the daily chart here. So a little bit early again in gold and silver, but it's getting interesting. So all of these kind of commodity markets, the copper, the crude, the gold, the silver, the kind of the metals starting to get interesting. Their dollar index, I still think the dollar index is going to pump to the upside, and we'll get kind of weakness in euro, yen, kind of on the way down, and pound continue on the way down. So it's going to be an interesting week or 2 weeks kind of ahead of us. That's what I'm seeing on my charts. Hope your trading is going well. I'll just tag on that little kind of day trade for Friday, which was a nice one to the downside, and you can see that set up. Anyway, yep, looking forward to next week. Hope your trading is going well. Okay, just got short 95 and a quarter. Short 95 and a quarter. Just checking stops and targets. And just been watching the market. What has it got? 941. So we had some numbers come out. We need some topping out activity, and was waiting for this exhaustion buy during the full liquidity of the day. Bang! There we go. This was not enough pre-open. So then we've spent some time just topping out, rounding out this pattern, and a little bit of weakness here. We came back up, make our pullback end of trend. So we got all these exhaustion patterns. We got our pullback end of trend on the intermediate time frame. Been fussing around. We had a little break here, fractionally below support, and low risk entry point comes in. Then we come back up and we make a tiny little break above. I'm just looking at this because we're just playing with this. No, I don't want that. Come on, come back. I don't want that. That was this is why I jumped in short, because we immediately kind of played down here below the lows. We've got an important support area here. We need to bust this 94s, get going on the downside, and I've jumped in a little bit too early before the actual break kind of gets confirmed. And up bar on 1500, so it's showing it's weak. Okay, we turned around at resistance, that's good. So we've got two resistance there we just turned around at. So this one's showing we just interesting. Sometimes you get this slightly different calculation because the tick bars, the way the tick bars settings kind of change from chart to chart. So we actually just bounced off this on this time frame. We're showing a little bit of a close, 2 closes above on this time frame because that plotted at a different level. So this is plotting at 7.5. This is 675. Anyway, if that had been at 675, we wouldn't have got this. This had all been white. And here we go. So we're going 94s. So breakthrough 94s, bang. That's the one. That's the trigger. All of a sudden, it just gets very interesting as we break into a downtrend. There we go. Excellent. Come on. Let's run a little. Bingo, just taken out 91 and a quarter. Excellent. 4-4. Very happy with that. It got close, just around here, and then we had this big retrace, and I was like, holy shit, I better jump out, and then they just sold it down really hard here. So, yep, so here's how it looked. All the exhaustion patterns pull back into trend on the intermediate time frame. It was just a shallow push above that last resistance. Then went to make support on pullback support on the highest time frame, and it was just a weak move. Now we're getting the double break here. So this was the first sign of weakness here. There's the low risk entry point, bang, and that's when I was getting short. We had a little just here, this break at 95 and a quarter, and we had this just little bit of support here, breaking above strength, breaking above that resistance, which was kind of spurious because it was here. So sometimes little kind of tricks there. Anyway, we've got a double break now, bang bang. So we've got a proper kind of downtrend on our hands. It's got a run, pull back, and a trend. It's having a think about it here because we keep on putting in Rambo patterns and bouncing off those. There's another kind of sequence here with some blue professional bars there to go along. But it's got to go exhaustion sell, got to go pull back and a trend. But it was a good day's trading for me. 3 trades, lost 1 and a quarter on the first, up 5 on the second, up 4 on the second, on third. So happy days. There's that exhaustion sell. So anyway. Yeah, let's leave it at that. It's coming up to 3 AM here, Sydney time.